y'all stop. Take a minute and remember who takes the top. To the critics and the cynics, your time is up. Just admit it and rewind it, but this rhyme is up. It's hot shit, so the members gonna make y'all stop. Take a minute and remember who takes the top. To the critics and the cynics, your time is up. Just admit it and rewind it, but this rhyme is up. It's hot shit.
Perfected but not invented. Rhymes from the ego-driven, self-centered. Enter the fast lane and never got dented. Life in a flash, pipes, buds, and hash. 3 of my favorites, 4 of us made this. More hits in the majors, up from the minors. Bust from the top, duck cops and sirens. Fresh out the shop, popping and styling.
Mad chops, wildin', non-identical. The cynical's medical condition is critical. Unforgettable, swollen members beautiful. Language unsuitable, tension and tonic. Coastal chronic, track got mocha on it. Independent with a different perspective. Select effective, next or exit. The younger, the restless, you'll inject it.
Members gonna make y'all stop. Take a minute and remember who takes the top. To the critics and the cynics, your time is up. Just admit it and rewind it, but this rhyme is up. It's hot shit, so the members gonna make y'all stop. Take a minute and remember who takes the top. To the critics and the cynics, your time is up. Just admit it and rewind it, but this rhyme is up. It's hot shit. Y'all ain't got it, so don't even think about it. Cause I doubt if you know the time. Swollen members, mocha only gonna take the shot. If you're thinking that you know me, better press rewind. You can bump it and just only repossess your mind. If you're frontin', you can blow me, you be pressed to find someone else who's about what it takes to climb. Whenever battle acts, warriors come out to play. You can bet we're gonna do it in 1,000 ways. Ain't no sweating nothing to it, we resuscitate. Members only rock shit, so motherfucker debate. It's hot shit.
How many albums bought and sold? Triple ghetto gold, rocked and rolled. Sound, mixed and mastered. Stick with the program, get paid after. TV shows, zines and mags. Positive feedback, jeans still sag. Hair still knots, prevail gets props. The same as always, rising to the top.
With the swarm of exciting fighting form, we invite criticism. Rhymes shine like prisms, spit flames we see in 3D vision. Even my people play CD in prison. Bad decision, fatal error. Get scars from bars of barbaric terror. We own label, never get dropped. Now the crew combined and we can't be stopped.
Swollen members gonna make y'all stop. Take a minute and remember who takes the top. To the critics and the cynics, your time is up. Just admit it and rewind it, but this rhyme is up. It's hot shit. Swollen members gonna make y'all stop. Take a minute and remember who takes the top. To the critics and the cynics, your time is up. Just admit it and rewind it, but this rhyme is up. It's hot shit. Swollen members gonna make y'all stop. Take a minute and remember who takes the top. To the critics and the cynics, your time is up. Just admit it and rewind it, but this rhyme is up. It's hot shit. Swollen members gonna make y'all stop. Take a minute and remember who takes the top. To the critics and the cynics, your time is up. Just admit it and rewind it when this rhyme is up. It's hot shit.
Oh, how's it going? How you doing?
Oh, it's fantastic. How are you? It's good to see you again.
You might not see this one in the chat, but Sean Weiland, our Sean Weiland, he made a good point. Hadn't even crossed my mind. It's currently the Super Bowl. it's literally on fucking right now.
I wonder what the actual cross. That's now the Super Bowl sound effect. Really though, how many people listen to the show and also watch the Super Bowl? I don't think that many. To be honest.
Looking at our community right now, it's quite a few. I'm seeing a
Really?
lot of comments.
I didn't know we
Everyone's
had that many
furious.
gays in here.
Everyone's mad. No one's liking the
Come on,
Super Bowl.
guys. Super Bowl, come on.
From
Are
what
you
I can,
serious?
From what I can tell, people have been checking off and on again, maybe even for 5 minutes at a time, confirming that there's still black people involved in
Oh,
American
like you're
football.
watching it ironically because it's nigger ball and we want to laugh about it tomorrow. I get that, I guess.
Well, they're watching the commercials because
Yeah.
that's all everyone. We're post irony, and
You
now
can watch
people
the
just
commercials tomorrow. They'll be on YouTube.
And then I think for some reason people had expected these commercials, which were conceived and shot maybe up to a year ago, to be riding the
True.
wave of Trump.
True.
So
they're like short films. They probably did them all in the summer, eh? Like legit. They figured Kamala would be president.
Okay, you have to understand, just from the agency side, the agencies that do these, they have entire teams set up just for this. Sometimes it's done client side, but the Super Bowl is a big project. Just like certain ads are designed just to win awards, not even necessarily to sell products, right?
Yeah.
And those are the ones that you probably hear about, like, wow, that's a really good ad, but no product is sold from them usually. Anyway, a Super Bowl ad is just designed to be a prestige piece. So a brand or an agency can say, look, we got fucking Eminem and Jake Gyllenhaal in the same room, and then they're gonna fuck a minion, whatever it is. I don't really watch them. You know what I mean?
I should be watching the Super Bowl. Fuck. That sounds awesome.
Marshall Mathers and Jake Gyllenhaal are going to air gap a minion in front of America. and then, but that sell more widgets or shaving cream? TBD. I can write you a report that says it does, but I'd be a liar. But I get paid a lot to lie. So, but some people watch the commercials and then they're there with their arms crossed, of course, saying, "Look, there's a mulatto. Look, I saw some big curly hair." But really, like, I saw this funny video, and I did not intend to talk about NFL for the beginning of this, but I saw a video that was seriously looking at like what is going on with like the NBA and the NFL. Why is viewership dropping? And if you're plugged into RC and you would autocomplete that to be like, well, of course, people are tired of black people, right? And I'm like, well, now, and not at the peak of Black Lives Matter. Right.
Yeah.
Like it seems odd that they would get tired of now. It turns out that there's like a dozen reasons why people are actually tuning out of the NBA and the NFL. And it's all related to referees and like rules that are just making it annoying to watch.
Yeah.
But if anyone was wondering, the types of people who consumed this media are not tiring of the black superhuman teenagers they've gotten. And,
yeah,
I wouldn't hold my breath for that. I think those people are just going to have to die out, right?
Yep.
It's just like COVID. Like if you went through that firewall unchanged, then I don't know what to do for you. Just like the whole BLM Floyd riot thing. Like if you went through that and you're still tuning in to watch, like doing the kneeling and everything, then there's no conversation to be had.
Do young guys actually follow sports? I don't know. I don't have a lot of like real Zoomer friends. Because I kind of figured like far left guys don't care about football. Far right guys don't really care about football. So who cares about football? But I know boomers do.
Richard, yes, really. Referee fatigue.
It's a new euphemism every year.
Yeah, in a sense, a referee is it's a mulatto. It's the shirt. It's the black and the white stripes.
That's pretty good.
Nice. Even he was surprised by that one.
Holy shit.
Your dad says whether it's 1825 or 2025, old white guys will always love sweaty blacks running around a field.
Yeah.
Seems to be true.
My dad did say that.
Did your dad did say that? I saw not met, but I saw your dad the other day.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, did he say that at your daughter's birthday? Before we go on, can I just show you something?
Yeah.
A video. I've had this stuck in my head all fucking day, and I didn't think it would. The title of this song is "I'm Quitting Prozac to Continue Drinking"
Nice.
by Jim E. Brown, and I've gone on a big Jim E. Brown thing. We're just gonna play it, and you can hear it, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
My name is Jimmy Brown. The name of this song is I'm Quitting Prozac to Continue Drinking. A pill in one hand, a bottle in the other. I want to feel happy, but I just feel smothered. Prozac was supposed to ease the pain, but all it's done is melted my brain. I'm quitting Prozac to continue drinking, cause that's the only thing that keeps me from sinking. I know it's not healthy, but it's what I need to drown out the voices and the thoughts that won't leave.
We don't need to make a whole buffet out of this, but
It's in my head now. Thanks,
I swear to God, I've been walking around for 2 days going, I'm quitting Prozac to continue drinking. It's really good. And I watched this guy's live videos. He's a guy who's around now, but they just shot this to look like an old style thing. I guess it's sort of, I think it's in the same vein like Viagra Boys and sort of that Death Grips vibe where he's on stage. He's got like a weird saxophone player and shit. The other favorite song he did, we don't need to play it now, but just the title alone is "I'm Frustrated with My Flesh."
Very BS coded. I love it.
Can I also say, no one's gonna get this, but that seems like a really off the rails raver, does it not? I don't know what he's like now, but I'm like that's sort of oh yeah, sex frequent. Hello, fellow medication enthusiasts. I also want to say an early comment put a lot of pressure on us tonight by saying I'm giving up my Sunday for this. I didn't know Sunday was a hot ticket.
It's a huge leap for a lot of people. Dang.
Oh yeah, Carl Hamrat's never been into sports at all, and I try and avoid that. How about you?
Sports or Sunday?
Trying to avoid Sunday. No, but like being out there as the guy who doesn't watch sports, because I played a lot of sports growing up and then I just stopped and I never watched it professionally, never really gave a shit. But I don't want to be one of those guys who's out here like, sports ball. They won the sticky wicket.
No, there's two angles to it. You got to be careful not to conflate them. But sports are great. Like sports, sports. Go play a sport. It's pick up a ball and do a thing. It's great. But following sports on television is gay, unequivocally. If you follow sports on television, like if you know the names of all the players and the teams and it excites you, stop, cut it out. It's bad. It's dumb. So, but sports are cool. Like actually the sports themselves. No, that's great. You should do that.
Maybe if we went to like Notre Dame University or something, and we'd be into it, But I doubt it because I'm from Kingston and we have the Queen's University and that guy never gave a shit. So I don't know. I think there's just guys who aren't into it, but I don't want to look down on people who do like it because maybe it would be cool to get excited about.
No, I just
disagree.
Sure? This is feud 9 of the month. No, have
we been feuding a lot?
Yeah, you said cream cheese doesn't belong on dessert. You fucking animal.
Well, that's just you being difficult. That's you being fucking draped in chagrin. Okay, they're gonna throw this to the chat. We got shit to get to. We're not getting to it just yet. By the way, we're gonna play it kind of fast and loose and easy peasy lemon squeezy tonight. Because I was trying to, internet was fucked. Line down. Had to call in a Puerto Rican to come and fix it, if you can believe it. And now everything's good. But I didn't want to just skip the week. So here's what you get. Here's your fucking slop, right? But before we get to the stuff we're going to get to, I'm going to say that's an opinion I don't stand by, but I stand upon it. He's talked. Here's how it started. You can chat. You can fucking weigh in with this. So I don't like cream cheese icing. I don't like incorporating cream cheese at all in my desserts. Don't like cheesecake. I understand that gets the knives polished in my direction. Oh, don't wow. Look at you like you're I've never seen you eat a piece of cream cheese cake pie. What do you say? Look, he's adopting a facade, right? And then he's like, "Oh, well, how are you supposed to have carrot cake?
Yeah.
How would you
exactly.
ever have it? Carrot cake is just it sounds like a bread that's trying to be tricky.
Yep. You're digging yourself in a hole here.
I'm not digging myself in a hole. I'm digging myself
I'm
laterally.
I'm looking out over the crowd and I can't not see 100 cream cheese carrot cake eaters.
Okay, look, Inquisitors eat dimes is a thing, cheese Danish is a thing.
Exactly.
I'm not denying it exists.
I had cheesecake tonight at dinner. I
Yeah,
just
that's a
ate it like
spike
an
cake.
hour ago.
That's
I
a
didn't
spike
even know.
cake.
I didn't even know we were gonna have this conversation, but I did.
Look, he had it ready to go. He's like, I better warm it up. I
I
better
went to
get.
this miserable fucking Chinese buffet just to have the cheesecake. Yeah,
You went to a Chinese buffet?
it was the Chinese New Year. I gotta. Yeah, I know. I got dragged.
Do the Chinese know how to do anything? Because you can't just go to a Chinese buffet for something I assume is prestigious.
Yeah, they cram you in, and this was a really fancy one, so the ceilings were really high, but they still, like, the tables are so close that you can't get out of your chair like they always do. So, I don't know. It's a whole thing.
Man, that's fucked. And so, but you ordered a Chinese buffet. That's a risk. That you ordered a Chinese buffet.
Yeah, there was
cheesecake.
some off-tasting parts of that meal, I will say.
Okay, the odd tasting of these because the piece should be consistently odd tasting. There shouldn't be sectors.
No, like I
cheesecake.
had the sweet and sour. No, the sweet and sour chicken. I had like 9 bites, and one of the middle bites was like, "Oh, that's a bitter. Why is that bitter?"
I don't like how their food has got a topography to it like that.
Yeah,
like you can get a bad sector of fucking.
Part of it's
chicken.
just buffet food, but yeah.
I haven't been to a buffet in so long.
Look at the comments. You're getting eviscerated over
I'm
here.
not looking at them. So as far as I know, it's all coming
Quick
up.
segue.
Times. Let's have.
Segue.
Okay, look. Why would a man made of cheese like cheese at all? So he's saying, okay, I shouldn't have clicked that one. Oh fuck, he's
Should've read
owning
it
me in the
first.
chat. Okay, cream cheesecake pie. What you mean, brie?
There you go.
Okay,
Okay, that's fair.
here's what I'll do. I'll eat. I got a curveball for you. I'll eat a baked brie for dessert. What do you think of that?
You know what? Absolutely, and you have. I think one time we visited you and you made a baked brie. That was fantastic,
Buddy,
actually.
I'm looking for a reason to make a baked brie.
It's good stuff.
I'm trying to become a new
What do you put on that? The
race.
chutney, the grape jelly, or what do
Here's
you
what
do?
you do. All right, everyone. You wanna wow the missus. You want to show up and have everyone glazing you. You make a baked brie. Here's what you do. It ain't hard. Anyone can do it. You can't do it for free, but it's cheap as free. What you need, a good sized wheel of brie, like an outstretched palm, like make your hand into something that's clutching. That size, the wheel of brie, right? And then you get some pastry. So you can use either phyllo pastry, like a square. You buy a square pastry. You can use phyllo. I like butter pastry because you can never have too much butter. Lay that out, put there. Get a can of cranberries. You can have completely jellied cranberry. I like whole cranberries in cranberry sauce. You know, adds a little gumption to it. You put that in there, and then you saute up some onions. You can caramelize them, or you can just saute them. Caramelize is a bit better. Then you put the sauteed onions, caramelized onion on there as well. Wrap it all up. You put a bit more butter on top. Then you just put it right in the oven. What do you do from there, Dimes? You're waiting for it to brown. You eyeball it. You don't have to make a day out of it. You don't need to break out any sort of timer. Stay in the vicinity. Look, it gets brown. You're melting the inside. That's all you're doing. Take it out. Let it cool for a bit. You will be the belle of the ball. Your wife will say 5 more children to you
On the spot.
Yeah.
Cheap is free.
Chud Cooking Channel starring Dimes When. Man, we used to talk
This is
stew all the time.
Yeah.
We used to be a certified stew chat. Then something happened. A winter occurred. That chilled the good vibes, I think.
We've always got food going on in the chat. You were talking about pierogies or something there yesterday. I thought. I don't know.
We got one guy. Is it Jeff who's just always showing the
Ted.
amount? No, but like someone's making a mountain of bacon almost every day. It seems.
Is it Jeff?
I
Mid?
think it's Jeff.
There's a lot of guys
I
with
thought
food
Jeff-
posting.
There's a lot of guys post, but it's like here is a raft of bacon.
Yeah.
a rescue vessel.
A
made
raft
bacon.
of rashers. Yeah.
Like, here's a sex freak one over here. Listen to the decent Chinese buffets have certain dishes that they're pro gamers at, and some are absolute dog cheeks. And they vary by establishment, and they'll never tell you which is which. That's
Yeah.
the trick. They're
how it is.
shifty people.
They are.
Dimes doesn't like bagels with cream cheese. I do. I don't see that as a dessert. I see it as its own thing. And this might have been a trick question to get them to say I eat bagels. But you know what? This is my new thing. I don't surrender things I like to the enemy. So people say, oh, you like brisket. You like pastrami. That seems very Jewish. I don't grant them that.
Yeah.
That's just a European thing. I don't give black people hip hop.
Yeah.
That's our thing. We made it up. What else?
You know what though? I'll take a yellow curry brisket over a Western brisket.
You say a yellow curry brisket?
Yeah, have you had that yellow curry? It's the type of curry that's like it's a little bit sweet, a little bit spicy, and you put it on brisket with rice. It's good, man. It's better. I think it's better than like a dry ass auntie's brisket.
Buck status.
What the Sigma?
Oh no!
Man, I don't know.
No,
what
I'm in the doghouse.
I don't. I tell you what. I cannot bring myself to admit that I've ever had curry, much less like it.
This is not
Is it-
Indian curry. The Chinese call it.
It's- you
They
know
got
what?
like 10 sauces that they just call curry. Red curry, yellow curry, like Thai green curry. There's so many curries.
Yeah. How did that happen? By the way, how do all these different people have curry?
I
That doesn't make
I
sense.
figure in Hong Kong it's from the British because they had no interaction with the Indians really, so they have all this stuff over there that's British.
Check
so
this
the
out.
British bring the curry.
Inquisitor Z. Dimes is right. Bagels are Polish, not Jewish.
There you go.
Score one for the bad
Don't
guys.
let them have it. They didn't. Did Jews make anything? Nothing. They're fucking. They're patent fraudsters.
They've been
That's what they
trying to say they've got salted cured meats. What is more just broadly European than that? Salami. Oh yeah,
Yep.
so Germans don't get salami. Fuck you in the synagogue you flew in on.
Yeah, you know what's funny? A lot of the recipes, the dried sausage recipes that I do, they call for milk powder as part of the binding agent. The Jews can't eat it, right? You
That's
can't
true.
put the milk and the meat together. So how do you
That's
call this?
true.
He's like, oh, they got Jewish deli. Fuck you in your Jewish deli. There's milk powder in the binder. That's not Jewish.
Yeah, do they know?
Maybe they're making it. Maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe what? Here's the question: if they're not putting the milk powder in there, what are they putting in? Is it fucking glyphosate? Is it melamine? What is it?
It's probably some 3,000-year-old fucking horse shit. We're having once we get talking about food, we can really get on a
Yeah.
tear. I gotta make another stew before the season is out. By the way, one thing I wanted to get to before we start, and we were recording this. I said this on the last recording that went nowhere because the internet sucked, but I wanted to just announce that I wrapped up and finalized the home sale. We are going to be moving in soon. Everything's signed. There's no conceivable way this deal can go wrong now. It's all done. But I wanted to give a couple pieces of information that came to light during the whole process because, once you make the offer and it's accepted, that's just the beginning of a long string of, double checks, triple checks, verifications, papers that must be signed. And a couple of things just came to light. One, you found this kind of amusing, was that when I was talking to my mortgage broker, he was already trying to get us on a second mortgage. he was always trying to upsell us, and it's so funny that we were considering doing it. What he was saying was, okay, so you get your mortgage, right? For those who've never done this before. So if you've done this before, you can tune out or don't because I might fuck it up and then you can call me on it. But for those who are getting their first house, young people, you can put down as low as 5% as a down payment. We ended up putting down 10, but you can go as low as 5 if it's your first home. And where people kind of go wrong, it's that they get the house and then they want to buy a second house as an investment property or to rent it out, and then you got to put down like 20%. And if the house is more than $500,000, you got to put down like 20% anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal is to get a house under $500,000 and be a first-time home buyer. Then you can kind of play around. Although it is good to put down a higher down payment because then it's a lower mortgage payment, and also pay it off as fast as you can. You can overpay on your mortgage. Just get that off your books if you want. Point being that he had said that the way to do it is to get your mortgage. If you are moving into a new house and you're not buying it as investment property, you're just moving into it, you can still get like 5% down and then keep your previous house as the rental. That's the loophole people do. And he had said, so if you've ever seen people in their 30s with like 3-4 houses, that's what they do. They keep just rolling this mortgage out. And if you just get co-signers, which is what everyone does. And we were talking about now, we were thinking like, back in the day, man, because I'm getting into this kind of late. I'm like, how do people do in fucking Toronto with these $1 million houses, And then it turns out that it was literally just co-signers. They get your parents to co-sign, and then parents give them a down payment. And then they're still house poor because they're paying like $4,000 a month on mortgage still. And they're all working as social media managers, right? But it was just, I'm like, oh, that's how you do it. And then you just keep getting more and more mortgages and making your little empire. And then you eventually get in the position that we got into with this seller, which is they're just underwater on everything, and then they overextend, and then they got to just unload all these houses that they don't know what to do with. Oh, here we go. Carl Hopmas. I've had family try to buy a house, renovate, and sell it up after a few years. This is what my mom did. I think we talked about this on the show. My mom bought a house in South Oshawa. If you're not from Ontario, you don't know, what that means, but it's not the best place. It's not the best place from a distance.
One of the worst in the province, probably.
It is, but once you're in it, it's sort of like the hood rule. We're like, it ain't so bad. There's just cops everywhere.
Yeah.
But she bought it for like 100-something K, whatever it is, and sold it, and like 5x her investment later. The people who bought it were from Toronto, bought it sight unseen. They didn't come and visit the fucking house.
Yeah,
they just bought it
hilarious.
From a distance, which is insane if you've ever done this, because you want to go into a house, kick the tires, see if it's falling down.
Yep.
They didn't give a shit. I don't think they sent a home inspector even. They just bought it off a website like you would buy
My mom sold her house. It was the same thing. Like I think they weren't even in the country when they bought it. And like, and then with that one, it lost 100K of value within the first 6 months, and they were like trying to desperately. They were calling to see if they could get money back. It's like, that's not how that fucking works.
Ted wants post address and income. I might.
Gamer tag.
Gamer tag. Just post the address already. Also, Sex Freakman, milk powder is very Eastern European coded, ex-commie customs.
Yeah.
True. But yeah, that's just one thing I learned from purchasing a house. And the other thing, it's the final thing where we got the home inspection done. He came in, found like 12 things wrong with the house. Most of them are benign. Like I said, the deck was built kind of amateurishly. A guy built the deck. I don't give a shit. However, there's loose wiring in the basement. So we could say we went to the seller and said, look, here's a report, 12 things wrong with the house, help us pay for 2. And then we got an extra $2,000 off the price. You can actually do that if you want to twist the knife a little bit, and you don't necessarily need to. But we went the opposite way that these other buyers did, which is like, yeah, I'll take it, warts and all. I'm like, no, I'm gonna rake you over the coals because I know this is a headache for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I don't need to go around the world with the whole house thing, but we will be moving in soon. You were gonna help me make a studio for Blood Salad headquarters.
I'm gonna do all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna do stuff you're not expecting. You're gonna come home sometimes, and I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be in the basement. You're gonna turn the lights on, and I'm there, building things. Things you
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
This is the thing. When guys buy houses, it's a great thing. It's when the wives and the mistresses get involved, where it's like, actually, what's he doing? Why is he measuring the windows diagonally? I'm like they got no sense of adventure.
I really know why. I mean, why do that? That's
Why are you measuring the circumference of an odd area of floor?
Yeah.
Like dumb questions, idiot questions. Hold on, it's one from big one from Sex Freak, man. I'm just gonna read it. I haven't even read this yet. There's some kind of divine line between the people who are disgusted and the people who are enchanted by that adage. Debt is a tool for rich people, and I don't know which is the correct side. And that's something, I wonder if you have some opinions about this, because that was I was raised very much what some people call like a poor person's idea of money. You know, always
Yeah.
pay off your debt. I was told that, like, never carry debt.
Yeah.
That was drilled into my head, and my wife said too. And the idea was you don't want to owe anyone money, and you want to just make money and hoard it in your savings account and a safe investment account for later. And investment account's basically like, you know, it's not a debt, but it's a type of investment, like a RRSP or whatever. But it's just really, really low yield, whatever. But something happened later in life, and I'm completely removed from my family because my family does the same thing. My extended family, I'm the only guy who's into crypto. I'm the only guy who's getting into, you know, more risky investments or trying to figure out how the system works. But what do you feel about this debt thing? Like, if you want to make real money, you must be in debt.
Yes, at max, the most debt I ever had was over $1 million US, and it was at a time when our company desperately needed the money, and that's when we got it. And although it allowed us to carry on for a while, in the end, it didn't save us, and it did mean that the only way we could get rid of that debt was by fleeing the country, which we did. So, and what people had told me before, and I've heard afterwards, and I now strongly believe, debt is a tool for the rich. And what that means is when you are wealthy and you have money, you should take a lot of debt out, because you can use the debt as a force multiplier on the capital that you already have. But you should not be taking out tons of debt when you don't have tons of income or tons of capital sitting around. It's stupid.
Another way
I do think if you have a little bit of money and you have good control of your finances, you can take debt. Like, we have credit cards, we have a car loan. Like, this is a normal thing, but you pay it off. You don't get, you know, in over your head. And if you're going to do something insane, like take out a $500,000 business loan, what I'm saying is, if you have $500,000, don't spend your $500,000. Put the $500,000 into something else and get a $500,000 loan. Don't take a $500,000 loan when you have no money. That's insanity. Don't fucking do that.
Yeah, well, I was talking to some of the finance guys I know, Sean Weiland being one of them, where, you know, a lot of people will say like, oh, I got 5K, 10K. How can I put that money to work for me in the market? And they'll tell you the same thing, which is like, you know what, that might not even be enough.
Yeah,
like you would be good. It would be better for you to invest in yourself. Like, take that 10K. Yes. Don't throw it into just an investment and hoping that it just rains gold upon you, but put that into a business, because that can also 5-10x.
I was just talking to Buddy about that at the birthday party, because we were working on a business project together, and it's like, you know, we make a bit of money. What do we even do with it? And we both agreed. We're like, look, we both have multiple small businesses. The only way I can get a clean 10% or a good chance at a 10% is by putting it back into my own company. I may very well make 10% or more on the money that I put into my own company, because I'm in direct control of it, and I have, you know, I can see where to put that money and deploy it in a way that it's profitable. But I mean, you put it in the stock market on a very, very, very good year, if you're lucky, you'll make 10. But most of the time, it's something, but it's much less than that. So no.
Oh, we got Miran Chuck now, a good friend of mine, referring to the previous topic we're talking about. Measure it 15 times and then have an argument with a tape measure and sleep on the couch for the next week. We're talking about measuring.
This guy fucks. This guy knows.
This guy fucks every goddamn which away. That's what I like to say about Jason. This is a man who fucks in 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
Now, I got something I want to talk about, and I curated this just for you, just for Judas.
Thanks, buddy.
Now, I'm going to tee this up with looking at the Economic Times. These six baby-faced Doge engineers formed the crack team of Elon Musk. Here's how they're slashing government costs. So everyone's been hearing about this, right? Mm-hmm. Doge, you know, obviously a meme name, which is annoying to everybody, but whatever. I respect this more with the distance I have from it, from when it first dropped. The idea of putting a kooky CEO in charge of cutting government costs and bureaucracy. I mean, this was the dream for the longest time. You don't even need to be a libertarian to like this. You don't need to be irony poisoned ANCAP to just say, man, you'd be great. You'd be great if everyone at the DMV or everyone you've ever dealt with in the government got fired. Well, who would do that? Well, I guess like a French guy with a rifle and a powdered wig and a guillotine, or a crazy CEO who just fires everyone and just takes a spreadsheet to it, harnesses the power of Excel and directs that at the government. And it actually fucking happened. And at first I'm thinking, okay, how can this go wrong? And it hasn't. It just has resulted in everyone I hate getting fired.
They're
If
so mad.
they found a way to clear out journalists too, I don't know how you do it, but that would be the icing.
USAID is, I mean, that is a ton of those journalists. Like, what did they say? Politico was almost exclusively supported by USAID paying for like Department of Justice or like the State Department's subscriptions. Like a majority of their subscriptions were paid by the government to their employees who probably never fucking read it. So Politico is like going to be gone.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. They said it turned, and some of those screenshots turned out to be fake. I remember seeing that. Oh, this person got paid.
The one with Politico, they commented on it because people had said, "Oh, look, USAID is paying Politico," and Politico said, that's not true. Those were all perfectly normal subscriptions. They just happened to be subscriptions that were purchased for State Department employees as part of their contract. So the State Department is just buying.
They just love Politico.
Handing them out. You know what I mean? It's like if Time Magazine only existed because of all the dentist's office who were buying them to put on the coffee table, but nobody actually reads them. You know what I mean? It totally
the idea that
changes
the State Department just had $8 million worth of subscriptions is a fucking wild thing to say.
Yeah, they didn't even get a discount on it.
That's insane. Yeah, you would think it's like, okay, when you go to a school, it's like, okay, I'm going to pay for bulk access and it's a discounted rate because we're giving. It's not that everyone's going to read Politico. Mm-hmm. The idea that they would pay for an individual subscription, these writers don't know how to craft a story.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do what a lot of people do and never admit to it, but I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I am just going to pop over to Kiwi Farms and
nice.
read from the threads where I got a lot of this information from. This is the trick most of your favorite content creators will use. They'll take shit they find on here and they'll just re-script it out and then barf it at you like it's a take. I give the credit where it's due. We got, I don't know if you can see it because of my designs here. Let's just read what, by the way, we are pulling from a subreddit called Fed News, r/Fed News. So there's a subreddit that's just for federal employees to go and talk about. This is so special.
I thought all of Reddit was, no, maybe not.
Well, this is the thing. Well, consider this. Someone made a good point in this thread, and I'm going to summarize it here. They'd said, first of all, how many feds are here? Probably not, like, there's so many, of course, but how many of them were here? So they've been acclimated to a Reddit way of being. So you wonder why these people give such a shit about, like, tranny mods and things like that, and they take that into their workplace because they have a warped perception of what the internet is and reality is. Because in their internet, it's run by vindictive trannies and fat ladies. And so that's why they make the policy they do, insofar as they can craft policy in the bureaucratic sense. So Reddit is the prism through which they view the fucking world.
Yeah.
Now it all makes sense, doesn't it? Sorry. I'm just going to get some comments here. Sean Wild, yes, cutting off the patronage of USAID might be what starves the beast of journos. He's agreeing with you. Ted LaFaro, babyface, enough with euphemisms for black Israelites. Yeah, that was a reference to this Doshim, and it said in the article, but I wanted to just bring it up that these are young men, pretty much young boys, you know, apple-cheeked young boys put in charge of, and they're saying, and you'll see some comments in these threads about how dare they, you know, how they don't have a degree in this. They're not. You see people saying that there must be a certification for slashing bureaucracy, and they must not have it.
Suddenly, they're extremely elitist. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they all are, because like every single one of them has the piece of paper. They got the piece of paper that says they're allowed to do the thing they do and have the opinion. Hires, except all of the fucking niggers and random Guatemalans and shit they have in there. Yeah, exactly. I like this one. Y'all keep admitting that what Musk has done is illegal, yet that man is still walking free. He breached security. Just out of curiosity, what law do you think he broke? Seriously, if you don't have reading comprehension skills, further explanations won't have you. Here's how you know if you've ever just trounced someone in a conversation, when they use the phrase reading comprehension.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of my life never hearing that phrase, and it only happened in the past few years. You know what I mean? Like people saying, "Oh yeah, reading comprehension, media literacy. Do you have your media literacy badge? Are you allowed to have that opinion?" Like so much. I'm going to assume that most of these people are liberals. I think bureaucratic jobs filter for that sort of personality, right? And so, if I had to summarize the liberal worldview, it would be the phrase, "I don't think you're supposed to do that."
Yeah.
That's what it is. And within that, you have appeals to authority. You've got sort of tone policing. You've got just sort of the faith in the system. Just I'm calling you out. Like that thing you did, you're not. I don't have an opinion on it, but you're not supposed to do that. So just, you know what I mean? Like trying to gesture to some ill understood law.
Yeah.
But that's the liberal. That's the bureaucrat. Like you're doing something and it just feels like you shouldn't be able to. Can you show me your badge? Oh, he doesn't have the badge, so you can't have that opinion. But based on what? Like, what are you going to do to stop? Like, what are you going to do to stop a bunch of fucking, 19-year-olds popping Zyn, popping, just whacking off all day and firing you and all your friends?
Got fired by a Zingooner? Damn.
This is a cross ideology thing. You can just have fun with this. You can just fat. You're going to see how many of these people are fat too.
Yeah.
So we did it Reddit. You see this a lot. I love this phrase. This is great. Remember the oath. Hold the line. So these are people saying hold the line, right? Again, pencil pushing desk jockeys, people at the DMV, people whose entire life is to answer phones, and with that brief moment of power they have over you and your day, it's to make it as miserable as possible. It's to just hurl tar and feathers at you.
To be notoriously overpaid and underworked. Many of them work from home. Like you are the softest fucking underbelly of society. It's unreal that you're the one saying hold the line. I want to see it. Let's see it. It'll be entertaining.
Look at this. Remember the oath. I just wanted to leave this here in case anyone needs a reminder of why we do what we do. I do solemnly swear that I'll support to defend the Constitution, like doing the
reminder of what we do. Sorry, what do you do? What is it that you do? Like, who are you?
You know what blows my mind? And this is me spending too much time in our space, but the fact that they call themselves feds, as like a term of endearment. Come on, fellow feds. Like, I don't know. I thought that was a slur. I didn't think that's our word.
Even so help me God, like an appeal to God, as it like. I don't. It's so just. It's
there's crazy, a lot of people who are like, because they'll say like, okay, why didn't you quit? Why aren't you taking the buyouts? Because what they're offering them is buyouts. The rest of their contract, and say, why aren't you taking it? And they'll say, I didn't swear an oath to Elon Musk, President Musk. I swore an oath to the Constitution. Like they speak about the Constitution in a way that you can tell these people they don't particularly like America. I don't think any of these people would fight and die for America, obviously, right? But they like status, and they think if they say the word Constitution, that makes them feel impassioned, right? That's just like, this is their war. Oh, it's so good.
The other part of it is, though, these are soft, wet parasites who cannot find real jobs. None of them have degrees or qualifications that would get them anything other than minimum wage in the private sector. And they know they're completely, irrevocably fucked if they lose their federal salaries. So.
Oh, got Melon here saying it is a slur. Fed is a slur.
Yes.
You think so? It'd be funny if none of these people were feds. It's like when you go on the hip hop Reddit, it's all like white. There's no black people on the hip hop Reddit.
It's a bunch of Indian bloggers.
It's just, it's all Indians and AI. It's worse than dead internet theory. I would love if it was an abandoned website.
Yeah.
But it's full of Indians and robots trained on fat women lying about committing suicide. All right. Here we go. For the first time in almost 10 years, I'm ashamed of my job for the first time in 10 years.
Oof.
I spent the latter part of my days scrubbing all mention of the words gender and diversity from policies, forms, sites, PDs. One thing they'll mention in this is how quickly this all happened. And they're like, first of all, they'll admit that the government isn't supposed to work efficiently. They'll say, this is the first time I've ever seen something action this fast. Which tells me, this machine must be destroyed. But then secondly, no one liked this. No one likes black women on walls. You know what I mean? That's what it is. No one likes gay things, and they don't like black women everywhere. And even the sloth-like bureaucracy said, "Yep, we're done. We're done. Okay, we're done. Yep, bye, 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 bye." I hope beyond all hope that I'm wrong. I don't feel like I am. I feel angry that I have to be part of this. I'm angry that we start with minorities who spend their lives fighting just to be recognized, and know that women are likely next. I love how in their minds there's always like, it starts with the trannies, then all the non-whites, then the women. That was never like taught to them. They just automatically rank in their minds who are below them.
Yeah.
Right? I'm especially angry because I have to hold the line. I have to, because if I don't, it hurts my employer, because I'm the only admin for my employer. And if I leave, they lose my position. If I leave and they manage to keep my position, what kind of person will they fill it with? I have to hold the line. You see these people starting to cope now, right? Like, well, I can't quit, because what if I quit and then I'm not there anymore?
Yeah.
It can't just be that you want your 6-figure salary for doing fuck all.
Exactly.
Okay, here we go. From your genderqueer coworker, don't quit over the pronoun email. From those of us who are LGBTQ to our straight brothers and sisters, please stay. If you want to help those of us who are trans, genderqueer, non-binary, two-spirit, hold the line and don't resign. By the way, I have a suspicion that the only people who call themselves two-spirit are working in the government.
Yeah, probably.
They don't exist outside of these brutalist hell structures, right?
Yeah,
it's not a
can't.
real people thing.
They can't.
Well, because you have to ask yourself, how many American Indians work in government, right? Or in Canada, how many Aboriginals work in government? None.
Yeah.
So then why would there be two-spirit? Unless it's just white people say, which
Also,
is cool.
If you understand that this is all a conscious reaction and a political game of posturing that they play, there's no need to. Like, if you were in a small conservative town, you don't even have to be trans. You could be gay if you just want to be that one dumb shit. You have to be trans if you're surrounded by gays, and you have to be a one-legged two-spirit BIPOC if you're surrounded by troons. So you have to up the ante, right? So again, you're surrounded by gays in a government office. You got to pull some shit like that. You got to pretend you're fucking Mohawk or whatever.
We should do more of that. We should just pretend. We should make up a tribe. We could do it. Maybe that's a 2025 idea. Project 2025 in Canada is making up a new Indian tribe.
Yes.
Here's one. The danger of a trans woman peeing. OMG, we just got my attestation that our agency will enforce that nonsense order about gender protection. To the trans community and the federal government, I am so sorry. You deserve dignity. I have no idea what they think women do in the bathroom, but what the hell are they talking about? I have to say, too, as a lesbian, boo! Boo this woman! I wonder if they're going to decide I might offend a straight woman's tender sensibilities, and I can't pee either. You know, when I think of lesbians, I think of emotionally sound and not prone to freaking out, right?
Yeah.
Where are we supposed to go if not to the bathroom? Behind a tree? And you know what I like about this whole Trump thing? It's that more people are just answering yes. The yes meme has manifested in the real world. So where do you think I'm supposed to be? Behind a tree? In the middle of a freeway? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go pee in a tree. Go climb a tree and pee in
jump in a lake.
Yeah. Why don't you go jump in a lake and pee in the lake? Why don't you pee on your own fucking hand and gag yourself with it? Yes to all of the dumb shit you're about to say.
Yeah.
Do that. I no longer care. No one has feelings anymore.
Yeah.
Did you know that how many trans teens are going to kill themselves? You know what? I believe it.
Good.
I believe it. And good. And
that was
yes.
the point. Don't you get it? That's the point.
Yep.
It's working.
Now, we've been saying yes for a long time, but now regular sane people are saying yes.
Yeah.
Like your mailman, the butcher, the carpenter is saying, you know what? Yeah, I don't care if the bodies are stacked to the sky. I'm just done hearing about it. It takes a lot to get people to that point. Let's see. Crying. I love crying. I love tears. Can I just say this? I love tears. I love when people are bawling I love when we're bawling, like wearing nice jewelry. I love when they're bawling when they're sad too. I cried upon reading the email from Secretary of Treasury today. For the record, I am trans and I'm so freaking scared right now. I talked to the union on my way out and they're trying to figure out what my rights are. Imagine calling up the union like, do I still have rights? Let me get back to you. And just hoping they here's what they're writing. A trans man pissed here and no one got hurt. I mean, yet.
Yeah. This was actually a crime scene photo.
That's written in blood. Red. Here we go. When you're a client group and you work for the government,
Yeah.
the lamentations of Sean thinks I just want to hear the lamentations of their women.
Don't
You
we
could
all?
be mistaken for thinking that I just like seeing women suffer. Here you're gonna like this. Say I'm a federal employee and my family has a history of service to this country dating back to the Revolutionary War. Imagine being that Revolutionary War fighter. And this person, again, just a desk jockey, speaking of their service, their duty
Yeah.
in the same tone as these people. There's something like it's like the inverse of stealing valor. You see these people, and you see one in this thread right here. I'll get to this. Actually, I'll read right now. It's gonna be a long fight. I'm holding the line. See, this has been incredibly stressful. Hang in there, baby. Rooting for you. If you can, imagine a fat old cheerleader. Ugh, yuckers.
Why would you
Follow
say
up.
that?
Shoot, I'm an old fat Marine Corps veteran now serving my country in the civil service.
No, you're
And then
not.
it's just a
No
whole lot
old
of fat
Marine
people.
Corps veterans have Reddit accounts. That doesn't even make any sense.
But you know what? It's like the inverse of stealing valor, where it's that you would historically steal valor to make yourself seem cool. That I 3 tours of Vietnam, 2 tours of Afghanistan. I can kill a man by doing finger guns, all that shit,
Yeah.
right? This is like you're citing your military experience just to like
Yeah.
say I'm a fat faggot, but I
I was
hoorah.
there in Fallujah, and now I'm crying into a pink handkerchief in my office chair at the DMV. It's like, no, I don't think so, dude. One of those
Hoorah,
things
I'm a
is
fat
false.
faggot and my 7 daughters fuck me in the ass.
Hoorah!
You know what? Like, what is this? Why is it? You see that with like the tough guys. Like, you know what? I'm a fucking. You know, I lost both my legs on the moon, and I killed 3 guys with a pencil. And
Yeah.
you know what? My daughters do my makeup every day. Like, if this is fake, it's a dumb fake. It's a gayer fake. It's gayer than if it was real. So look, I'm a fat Marine Corps veteran serving my country. Like, if I was a Marine Corps veteran, the last thing I would want to do is work in the civil service.
Yeah.
I'd like those Marines who go start fucking the worst coffee company you've ever seen. I like
There you
that. I'd rather that. I'd rather just make a shitty product. You're a sniper. You're an American sniper, and you sniped Americanly, and you killed. I don't know. Maybe you killed 30 civilians. Good for you. Come back home and just start scamming. You've earned it. If I was in Fallujah, I'd come home and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to scam Indian families for the rest of my life. I'm going to call them up in Delhi, in what other country they got there? What cities in India? Mumbai. I'm going to start extracting capital from those old ladies. They're going to send me their jewelry. I'm going to scam, not for America, for myself. The last thing I would do is like put on a shirt, put on a white shirt and sit in the fucking desk for that same country that has just started nothing but gay wars forever. No, I'm going to leave and I'm going to start a good war, an economic war against the elderly of people that look different than me.
Love it. This is powerful stuff.
This is oh, look at these assholes. What is Sorry, I got one here. Okay. We'll get through this soon. This is a great one. This is probably what you were thinking. How did we all go from "I'll leave and join the private sector if Trump makes me return to the office" to "I'll quit when they pry my cold dead hands from the Constitution" in the space of a week? Now, what's their reasoning? Why they do this? The job market is getting a little scary right now.
There it
they say.
is.
Let's pretend 10% accept the offer and go job hunting. That's a lot of competition. At least they're honest. Everyone thinks it's so easy to find a job, except for those who've actually had to find work. Like, you just hear about it because you've worked at this job for like 12 years. I can't imagine having to start over after 20 years.
The fact that you've had a job there, like nobody has that kind of job security. Like they're so outside of reality.
I know, it's like looking at a different life, maybe I don't find this attractive either. I don't find this enticing.
It turns my stomach, man. Like I want these people to I want these people to hurt.
Yeah, you know what I'd like? Pain.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like
Lots.
a device,
Buckets.
like a tesseract, like a Cenobite construct that's just for making pain, and I pick you up, ploink, and I carry you over, wee, and I drop you in there, doink, and it's just suffering until I decide it should stop. And I'm never going to decide that stops. Okay. We saw our country and the world watching, realized what was at stake, and we woke up. That's, you know what? Like, I think that's real. You could think they're just being cynical about, I just want money. But I do think they think this is like their Harry Potter moment. Like, the world is watching us to decide what we're going to do. And you know what? We decide to stand up to those 19-year-olds who are going to fire me anyway. I swore an oath to protect the Constitution. And I will do so for my queer neighbor, my black neighbor, and yes, my Trump voting neighbor, even though I'm pissed. So give me some time before you talk to me, because every single one of us deserves better than this whatever I got mine bullshit. To be fair, that is why you took this job. Would you keep this job if you had a pay cut? That's why I would ask them.
Yeah.
You're making 6 figures right now. Would you work this job if you're making $40,000 a year for the Constitution? The Constitution demands it. We made an amendment, and that amendment says anyone who works for the Constitution has to take a 60% pay cut. It's an amendment.
You can't separate the eye-watering salaries that are so beyond anything offered in the private sector. You can't separate that from this. And you'll, as you said, none of them have addressed it at all, and they won't.
We're all afraid. We all want to see our families well. And my fed parents didn't teach the eldest to back down to any fucking body. Let's go. I love these like courageous civil servant parents. You know what I mean? Like, to me, a lot of my family worked in government, right? Or worked white collar jobs. And even growing up, I saw it as kind of cowardly. You know what I mean?
It is.
And even they said it. It's like, you know what?
Embarrassed.
My family, what they said was, you know what? Go to. This is what they, like, word for word what they told me. They said, go to college, get the piece of paper, get a safe government job that pays you a lot of money, and you can coast. And you can coast to retirement. Like, it was treated.
As hell.
It was treated like, oh, it's just, hey, fuck it. But at least they were kind of honest. They were saying, you know what? This is for freedom. I'm doing this for you. But I never liked that. Maybe I'm kind of broken, but that never seemed terribly enticing to me.
The absolute opposite of Faustian.
Oh, Mir and Chuck Knapp, good point. Do what you do for free, and you never work a day in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, you remind them.
Oh, look, here's the last one. It's like an action movie. The hero may get knocked down at first, but he always comes back in the end and kicks the villain's ass.
It's like, it is like an action movie. You're right. It's like Schindler's List.
It is like Schindler's. But what it's like a movie that I don't watch, because I watch Kino. I watch challenging dark movies that scare the hose. So the movies I watch, the hero gets knocked down and then he becomes the villain, and then he burns his village down, and that's only by the end of the second act. In the third act, it's all hallucination.
Yes.
You know what movie we watched? Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
Did he come back and kick ass?
Yeah. He did. This is Tarkovsky's Solaris, and you are the planet. No, I lost it.
No, well, he just wanted people to know he's seen Solaris.
Yeah, it's a good. I like it. Is anyway.
It is a good one. You know what?
He's a-
I didn't see Tarkovsky's Solaris actually. I've been looking for it.
It's very slow, but that's Tarkovsky. So
Well, also the book is gotta be slow. Like it's from what I know about the book, it's not, an action-packed thrill ride, is it?
no,
It's a meditation.
very meditative. You see Dead Gay Muppet Gangbang at the bottom there? I know that's not part of the thing, but it's funny because we are on Quickie or
Hold
Kiwi Farms.
Yeah. Dead gay mucket game, yes. Yeah, he just liked it. Oh, here we go. Here's one for you. Kill feds, behead feds, round kick a feds into the concrete, slam dunk a feds baby in the trash can. We should just leave this beat feds, cauterize a feds asshole, the blowtorch. I don't know why people don't like this site. This is like my favorite spot. It has been for a long time. Did you know that they dox people? But you get this. Where are you going to get this? I guess X. I guess anywhere now. But
Yep.
Oh, Sean Weiland, Roadside Picnic. The book is better in my opinion. Since I've played Stalker and I've watched Stalker the movie, I feel like I can't read the book. You know what I mean? Because they both base it so much on that.
I just play the video game and ignore all the rest of it.
Yeah. There's a second Stalker, right?
Yeah, there's one just came out. There's like 3 already, actually, but they were anyway. Another one just came out.
Is it good? Have you played it? Is it good?
Reviews seem mixed. I haven't tried it. I don't have a lot of time for shit, so
Yeah. All right, so I guess we can move on to. I had this idea, and I was going to develop it in a regular episode, but that's why I walk through it with this crowd because a lot of our listeners are going to understand what I'm talking about, and I've just been looking. Actually, you know what? It's because Jason Miranchuk is here. And so, Jason, what we're going to be talking about is the City of London, the Bank of London, which we talked about on our last interview on his show. By the way, where is that? I don't know. I can't find it anywhere. But he went off on a segment, maybe a rant, you might call it, about the City of London and the Bank of England, and its role in engineering world events. What were you about to say?
if it hasn't been released yet, it's probably because it was on Miranchuk later.
Oh,
Get it? Sorry.
You know what? Okay. Okay. You know what? Yeah. Now I was triggered into looking at this, not only because of that discussion, but it started with this tweet here from Alex Craner. And I'm going to show you a bit of an interview he had with Tom Luongo, who's a very prolific person in our space, finance-minded, economics-minded, really goes into, like when I hear the City of London and the Bank of England, I think of, I spoke to Matt Arrett before. I think of the multipolarity sector. I think of that sphere that sees like sort of the UK as the center of evil in the world, whereas other people in our political space would say it's the Jews, and they would substitute the Anglo for the Jews. And so I was always skeptical about going that far. However, there's something there. There's something there with this ancient bank in guiding world events, in the same way any bank of significance would be guiding world events. But I was looking at this tweet. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me when I saw it, but it's on Thursday, the 16th of January hearings for Treasury Secretary nominee Scott Bessent produced a stunning revelation. There's actually a proposal to move the clearing of U.S. Treasuries, the world's largest and most important market, to the UK under control of the Bank of England. What does that mean? This is huge. Controlling the exchange and clearing mechanism would enable the Bank of England to manipulate the price of U.S. sovereign debt, potentially allowing the UK to destabilize the United States. This has been Britain's MO for centuries, as described in The Great Red Dragon, which we'll get to in a minute. Yet there's been no discussion, no media coverage, no public debate about this. What's the benefit to the U.S., if any? Where does this proposal originate? Who's lobbying it through and why? In short, no benefit to the U.S. After publishing my own analysis, I had a discussion about this with a some guy. If the U.S. abandons special relationship, the U.K. is in big trouble with very adverse impact on the pound, gilts, which is UK sovereign debt, and maybe the FTSE. For investors, traders will publish a CTA newsletter. To prevail, we have to understand the issues, particularly those being deliberately concealed from us. This is no time to cheer for Trump and his team, but to keep the pressure and demand real change, reforms, and the truth. So, what he was outlining there was a historic battle, and my good friend Stormy Waters talks about this as well. And we'll probably have him and a couple other people on in the future to discuss this in more detail. But there is a struggle occurring between America and the Bank of England, a financial struggle on who can control sort of the sovereign economy in the whole world. Oh, we got Sean Wyland here saying the quiet part out loud, City of London. And we're going to get to that in a second because I have a few more sources about, how basically the Jews factor into this. And Mirren Chuck now is pointing to, it's on my Substack, the National Film Board of Canada, copyright strike the white YouTube version. Okay, that's where our discussion went. So we talked to Mirren Chuck. I want to direct people to that to make sure they hear him discuss it as well. Dimes, you gotta get Stormy Luongo on a panel for Coke Browns. That's absolutely true. I'm going to reach out to them in short order to discuss this in a bit more detail. So yeah, that was a tweet that really set me going, and that directed me to a podcast that I was listening to, just to give people a bit of extra context about where Tom Luongo is coming from, because he's been beating this drum for a long, long time. And he's interviewing Alex Craner, who is the guy from that tweet thread we just saw. So I'm just going to play this for a bit. It's a 1.5 speed. This episode, look right here, episode 190 of the Gold, Goats, and Guns podcast. Check that out. Alex Craner and how all financial fuses lead to London. That's the title. So it's going to let it go here.
The whole system is going to pay for those losses. It means that they're going to print up so much money that the system is going to go into hyperinflation possibly, or at least very high inflation, which means that they're going to rob the whole population of the UK, and everybody who holds pound-denominated assets is going to get screwed in the back end.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it actually even dovetails into what you just said previously about the $160 billion the Bank of England is set to lose, because now you can triple that figure or you can quadruple that figure because the Bank of England is going to pay those repos out at par, and then those repos are going to be quietly just constantly rolled over, and then eventually those bonds are going to go to zero, and then they're not going to be unwound, right? And the Bank of England is just going to turn right around and go, well, no, we have to default on all, we have to just eat all that, and then we're going to have to just issue a new currency. Britain's gone broke, at least twice in the past. And both times they did it, they did the George Soros thing about we issue consols. Like, they need a means by which to default on the debt, stiff all the bondholders. So the gilt market, what you're saying, like the end game of this is that the gilt market goes to the gilt market goes to infinity or negative infinity. It goes to zero, and then they're gonna have to restart the whole system, stiff the bondholders, not pay them anything other than a coupon payment in perpetuity. Again, just like the Brits have done in the past. And we're always staring at the same situation over and over and over again with these people.
Yeah. Well, the reason why we are staring at the situation over and over and over again is because the system is designed exactly to lead to that end.
Yes.
The ultimate with the monetary systems that we have throughout the world, the collapse, the ultimate collapse of the system is a mathematical certainty.
Well, it's even funnier. You say this, right? And I don't know why I didn't connect these dots earlier, but now I'm going to connect one for you. Let's go back to Brown's bottom.
So we can go on for a while with that. There's not one perfect soundbite in that explains where we're going, but what they were discussing was the war in Ukraine, how the Bank of England and thereby the City of London are wound up in Ukraine, how the interlocking loans and debts, basically the Bank of England is engineering a situation where they can get all their money out. And so he's saying that the Bank of England is sort of the cause of not only this conflict, but a lot of people would say the cause of every global conflict. And that's where I think it goes a bit too far. However, I haven't read, that much into it. But what do you think about that? Like, based so far on what he's been saying, have you heard about this before? The Bank of England,
No.
City of London, all that?
Nope. It's all totally new to me. Wild shit.
And a lot of it references this PDF right here, titled The Great Red Dragon or London Money Power. This is published in 1890 by George E. Stevens. Miranchuk now is chiming in. The international bond market is worth about $4 quadrillion, by the way, and that is not a troll number. I believe that completely. So I'm just going to kind of pull from this. This is one of the original documents explaining the relationship between America and the Bank of England, and also the City of London. And one thing that I had heard that I had to look up to verify was that the City of London is really its own entity. It's a lot like Vatican City in a sense. And many episodes ago, we read the book, The History of the Kings of Britain, which is an ancient text that was explaining how England was founded and Londonium and, the settlers of that area and the wars with Rome and everything, clearing the island of giants and all these fantastic tales, King Arthur, Merlin, and the like. But one of the things that is clear is that it was founded by the Romans. It was founded by the Britons, and there was one claim made in one of the texts I read that said that it was actually founded by Jews. That London, the city, was like a refugee camp for Khazars, who are like the bad type of Ashkenazi Jew. I'm not sure I believe that. I'm not sure I'm going to surrender that, because in this whole thing, you're trying to figure out, okay, if you're saying City of London and the Bank of England, sounds like what you're saying is Anglos are the global bad guys, which is why so many multipolarity advocates latch onto this, because the UK and the English are the great Satan in that narrative. They just substitute Jews with the Anglos, and they see them as the source of all imperialism worldwide. So you can see why that's so popular in that space. However, people from our side will look at that and say, actually, if you think about it, they are Jews. And so that's just how they hand wave that away. I don't subscribe to that. And some people might think I'm making that up. No, I've read that a couple of different places. So I don't go down that. However, the Bank of England seems to be Jewish, and that's where it gets tied in with the Rothschilds. So the City of London is not New Israel. However, the Bank of London clearly is. And man, long time ago, we even reviewed, what was it, Central Bank? There's that famous book about central banking and the history of central banking. That's a hard to find book. And it was the same thing. It was a story of the Rothschilds and the story of the creation of the central banks in America when the founding fathers were so opposed to central banks. And it showed the sort of conniving forces that led to that being created in America all those years ago. The City of London predates London, the city, says Jason Miranchuk. I'm going to just throw in some comments that can speak to the veracity of what I'm saying, or challenge me. I'm not sure. The size of the over-the-counter derivatives is a few orders of magnitude bigger, if I recall correctly. This is Sean Weiland, and they're all interest rate sensitive to those targets for government bonds you mentioned. Jason says Khazars are part of the OG City of London, but the modern version houses all the old Euro banking farms, and that's not just Jewish. And exactly, that's what I was getting to. Where I don't want to start like breaking out the magnifying glass and say actually it's because they will say that all forms of loans ever have always been Jewish, and I'm not sure I subscribe to that. What do you think? What do you think about all this so far? You follow me on this?
Yeah, I'm following.
All right, I'm just going to just pull from this. I'm going to page 3 here. So he says, an imperialism of capital has grown up within the last 2 centuries from small beginnings until it is now the mightiest power that has ever existed on earth. It is an imperialism mightier than the empire of the Caesars, grander than the empire of Napoleon, and the hour of his highest glory. In comparison with it all, other empires sink into comparative insignificance. This titanic power is the imperialism of capital, which I call, by way of distinction, the money power. And so I'm just going to skip ahead. I'm going to skip ahead through a lot of this. I'd recommend people find it. We're talking about the Great Red Dragon. It says the power of the world had origin and small beginnings in the 18th century, but has reached its grand development in our own age. It had its origin in the British East India Company and has grown up so quietly that its grand centralization has not attracted the attention of mankind. Indeed, it has only become powerful enough in our own age to produce startling effects upon the industry of the world. In the ages before the invention of the steam engine, the chief commerce of the world consisted of the interchange between the temperate zone and the tropics. There was but little interchange between the different countries of the temperate zone. For all having the same climate and agricultural productions, each country produced sufficient for its own consumption. Let's skip ahead to page 11 here. So, this has been the regular method of the money kings for the last 100 years, starting new manufacturers, new shipping companies, new trading companies, getting in all the outside capital possible, then freezing out minority stockholders and throttling outside competitions. Getting all nations in debt to them and making parasite investments on the amount of the deficit of the balance of trade, putting in the profits derived from the East India Company first, and then not only putting in its profits, but continually reinvesting all the profits of all enterprises in the country. Even in the beginning of the second era of growth of the money power, it realized immense profits so great as enabled the money kings to loan the money necessary for both sides to sustain the immense armaments of wars of the French Revolution. And this is something that's been remarked upon in other books, how the Bank of England and these other institutions would fund both sides of the conflict and find a way to profit on the conflict itself. And I think if you trace this back to what he's talking here, it's sort of the dawn of this era of monetizing war. And certainly there was always people who can make money off of war, off of, conquering a land and taking its resources and vice versa. But, the idea that there could be a third party that can monetize a conflict, I do think that would have emerged around this era and would have been historically unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
I would, people can fact check me on that. If you go back to Rome, I'm sure there was money changers involved there too. I'll just check here. Miranchuk says during COVID, the U.S. sent trillions to all the old Euro banks. That's true. Sex Freakman says, dude, so many people are jumping in joy at the occasion to hate UK people again, and I'm one of them. Skipping to 17 here. The money power has been continually widening its operations in each successive era of its rise. The first era was the era of the East India Company and of commerce based upon tropical products and the exchange of those products. In the second era, the money power added steam manufacturers to the trade with the tropics, which it previously held. In the third era of its rise, the money power added to its previous sources of wealth the vast power derived from the possession of steam transportation in railroads and steamships. So due to when this was written, rail lines seem like the big thing, and coal. Yeah, exactly.
1890, that's revolutionary.
Yeah. Johnson said the UK isn't a health service with a country attached. It's an international money laundering operation with a country attached.
Yeah, which puts them firmly in the middle. That's like half of all countries now.
Yeah, exactly. I like that way of summarizing. 17. Nope, we just did that. Skip ahead to page 57. Again, I'm skipping a lot here, but I would recommend people read this at their first convenience. So, devourings of the money power in the U.S. This is where we get into its relationship with the United States, which is where this was written. The money power, as we have seen, has already devoured many of our great lines of industry. It is now enveloping every industry it has not already devoured. It is crushing them in the folds of its capital, preparatory to devouring them. By their monopoly of transportation, the railroads are securing a monopoly of the coal supply for mines owned by them. In some instances, before the passage of the Interstate Commerce Law, they refuse transportation to coal of other companies. They usually form a separate company which owns the coal mines, and they have given special rates to such companies. And one thing he detailed in this that I didn't get to was the process of basically describing shell companies, saying that the bank does invest, but it'll take 3 of its employees to start a shell company, and they will invest in it. So from the outside, it's not just the bank doing everything. And this would have been an innovation for that era of setting up this multitude of fronts But to the people of the era, that would sound preposterous. Like it does. You're used to seeing like the one tree trunk that's everything's branching off from, but it's much different then. BS is a podcast with two gay guys attached.
Oh, fuck!
He got us.
Just turn it off. We're done.
We're done. We're going. We're fucking out of here. Even under the interstate law regulating railroad traffic, their monopoly of coal mines is not hindered, for even if they made equal charges of their own coal and now the companies yet. Okay. And you can kind of see the titles here going through tales and accounts of how this money power has devoured American industries from the perspective of the late 1800s. A lot of these would have been lost to the sands of time, but oil production, coal production, corn, farms, everything like that. The devouring of the retail trade. Skipped a page. What was that? 90. What's that? 98. Hold on. Okay. What the money power has been doing in this country, it's been doing all over the world, all over the earth. It is extending its empire over industry, commerce, and wealth. The national debts of the world now amount to about $26 billion. Wow, that must have seemed like a lot back then. What are we at right now? $20 quadrillion.
Yeah.
Just a number that it could be made up, it could be not. My individual mind has no utility for the number that large, right? It is estimated that the entire indebtedness of the world, national, state, country, municipal, corporate, and individual, amounts to over $70 billion. Wowee. Three-fourths of this indebtedness is owed to the money power, and that's a moderate estimate. Then at 4%, the income from interest alone amounts to $2 billion a year. Beside this, it has the profits derived from its manufacturers. From all these sources, the money power have an annual revenue vast beyond computation. In the United States, the money power is making almost all the money that is made. Our people used to get the Liverpool price for our produce, the profits being divided between the producer, the merchant who shipped, and the ship owner who carried it. But after the money power bought our ships, we only made the profits received at the seaboard. And now the money power has devoured our import and export seaboard trade, our railroads. Basically, just to skip ahead, he's described the creation of the Bank of England and how it has taken over the world. Now, I think it would be fair to say that due to the central banks in America, like America would not just be a passive victim in all of this, that there is a financial war that's occurring. And if we speak to Stormy Waters about this, or Tom Luongo, as we will in the future, what we're seeing is a power struggle currently with the Bank of England on the downslope, that it's in trouble right now, and America might be seizing back its financial sovereignty from the Bank of England. Oh yeah, Mirchik just say infinity money, same difference. True.
Yeah.
Vorpal Anvil says sports ball is over. Time to go back to black pilling. Oh shit! Is salmon fish here? There we go. Salmon fish. Trump stolen valor is merely there to distract. Salmon fish. You love to see him. He's always in here. He's getting in the mix. He's having fun. He's in a different dimension, man.
Yeah. Phi equals 1 times phi over 1 times 1 times 1, where 1 times 1 equals 2. That is absolutely right, dude. I could not have said that better myself.
Yeah. Enough said.
I usually tend to put my view of the world in terms of phi. That's a good starting point.
Ezra Pound, EL says, Ezra Pound once said the Anglo out-Jewed the Jew. You know, people bring up the Rothschild, like the Rothschilds is like a shorthand for Jewish banking stuff, but the Rothschilds are still relevant. They are a important dynasty in this whole thing, but they are far from the only one. So to me, this is all very valid and very true, but I still think it is just a slice of the pie. I'm just going to go to 119 because it starts to get real funny here. So it gets in the esoteric stuff. Let's just roll up here. I'll show you how we get there. We're getting into the Bible now. The Great Red Dragon. a symbol of the London money power. The 7 heads and the 10 horns. You thought you could get away without any esoteric stuff, didn't you? You got off the football game. You're bloated with what? With rolls and beer. You're all sudsed up. You thought, I'm just going to tune in. They're going to call someone Indian and gay for a couple hours. Guess what? We're calling a bank a demon. And I got the receipts to back it up. The 7 heads and the 10 horns. The 7 heads and 10 horns appear 3 times in the book of Revelation. The following is the text of the passage where these 7 heads and 10 horns appear upon the body of the beast from the sea. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Basically, we're calling the Bank of England demonic. We scroll ahead here and you got some evidence here. The mode of identifying symbols with the powers they symbolize. As I wish to set forth the evidence that the dragon is the symbol of the London money power in regular order, I desire in the first place to show the method by which expositors may prophesy, prove that the symbols of prophecy symbol. That's a weird fucking sentence. Okay. Should I try that? I'm not going to try that again. That sounds like that's a weird. I think even back then, that's a weird sentence to write. This can best be done by means of illustrations. Okay. In prophecy, objects in the natural world are employed to symbolize, represent objects which they resemble in the political world. Thus, an earthquake which breaks down and destroys objects in the world of nature is made the symbol of a revolution. A storm of lightning and thunder, the effect of conflicting winds and opposite electrical conditions in the natural world, is made the symbol of a great war arising in a furious opposition. So he's breaking down the symbolism of the Bank of London, the lion with eagle's wings, saying that it's communicating to us subtly that it is perhaps a Luciferian organization, that this is a war between good and evil. It isn't just a war between the city of London and America, the West, even all of Europe. This is Satan versus God. Now, what do you think about all that?
Woo! I mean, look, to the extent that the prophecy is a thing, it's going to be there somewhere. Like eventually somebody's going to point to one of these patterns and it's going to be true. But also, is it this one? I don't know.
Okay, we got to throw it to Salmon Fish here. That's why Trump met with the Jap prime minister last second emergency meeting to race me, but I solved it quite quickly. The battle of the internet, DARPA versus McKenna, and upgraded binary code.
He's talking about the fact that he had went ahead and solved McKenna's mapping of the I Ching time elements to the Western material sciences, resolving neoliberalism, which Terrence created on accident with accelerated boundary dissolution. That Salmon Fish, we should just have him on the show.
I got to get him on the show. I bet he would turn us down. I bet he would tell us to go screw.
He's on some time cube shit, man.
Miranchuk chimes in here. America didn't have control of its own currency until last year. That means it never had control of its economy. Check out LIBOR versus SOFR. Now, that's one thing.
The funny thing is that is almost as incomprehensible to me as Salmon Fish.
Well, because he's so Miranchuk, if you could explain that a bit further, because in
I've
interview,
heard LIBOR before on Zero Hedge, but to me, when I see it, I just read Time Cube.
Yeah, to us, it's everything's esoteric.
Yeah.
If you're illiterate enough, everything is fucking dark magic, man. Johnson makes a good point. Commies had some good ideas about bankers.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Sex Freakman says the best part about narratives like this, no matter how stupid they sound, people with a lot of money and power will believe whatever makes them a major character in the story. And Mirjug is throwing it to future chapters of Tales of the Shadow Empire is going to dive into the Shadow Church. And that's a series that Jason Mirchuk has called Tales from the Shadow Empire. That's a sort of a pay-per-view thing. You buy those, you get a whole series if you purchase that. It's very good. Like I said, Stormy Waters and some people we've talked to in the past, they're big into this sort of thing. I'm big into it insofar as I believe the history. I believe the relationship. When I hear serious financial people talk about there's some wild power imbalances going on with the purchase. I just heard today that America had purchased all of the gold that the Bank of England had, and that's extreme. Let me see if I could find that. Keep them talking, Judas.
They have the gold. I don't know. I don't know who has the gold, man.
No, you could just talk about anything. You don't need to just speculate on the thing that I
Oh,
said.
cool. All right. So here's the thing. This one time I was doing drywall. I was a scab on site. They had me doing drywall. I'd never done drywall before.
Okay, yeah, we had a request for you to go off on drywall.
I know. That's why I was doing it. I can do it. I got it. That's my one drywall story. That's all I got.
Okay, let me just say this, but I actually want to get back to the drywall thing in a second. London is in the grips of a gold shortage as traders line up for weeks to get bars out of the Bank of England and ship them to the U.S. amid fears of tariffs on imports. So when Trump starts talking tariffs, maybe this is related to that. It's hard for me to think that's not related. The Bank of England released a statement regarding their 4-8 week lead time to deliver gold to clients. The statement reads, "We sold off all our fucking gold for the leprechauns." What a British-looking guy, too, right? A visit to the Bank of England with some Bitcoiners. The Bank of England says that the UK productivity situation is even worse than previously thought. It's falling fast, and the bank doesn't fully understand why. Anyway, Bank of England selling off a lot of gold. People are panicking, tariff related, probably some part of some larger power play is what I presume. The gold price is insane right now. People are calling it a City of London bank gold bank run, if you can believe that. Ted LaFaro, anyone knows how gold prices are skyrocketing right now? I heard talk of that earlier this week. Like, people are watching the Bitcoin price, which is stable now at like 95K.
I have
gold's
Bitcoin
going up.
and silver, and I'm just kicking myself that I don't have any gold. I used to hold gold and I sold it. Fuck, man.
Oh, here's Jason. Under LIBOR, the City of London decided what the U.S. currency traded at. The U.S. Fed changed over to SOFR last year, putting the U.S. in charge of its currency. That's the explanation. For a couple of ham and eggers like us, I don't even know if I can make heads or tails of that. I'm going to take it as truth. LIBOR, SOFR. How about how about TND?
Yeah. There you go.
How about it's LIBOR's already got these fucking golds in? How about getting a Hummer while you're driving?
How about you so far these nuts?
Thank you. There it was. You saw it and you went for it. Let me just check the codes. Okay, salmon fish back in the chat. It must be a dead chat because I'm really going after the salmon fish comments. Because 1.618 was unresolving and square root of 5 was never solved, meaning the golden ratio was never actually presented. I notice he has not accepted your invitation. Man, he left us on red. Oh, man.
Damn.
How the fuck am I going to get Jared Taylor on if I can't get King Salmonfish on? So, yeah. Anyway, that's really all I had planned for that segment. That's all I think I can speak to, but I am going to get a panel going in the future for all of this. So were you done with the drywall thing? Because I apparently there was a big conversation going on about drywall and people getting into
I
fights.
think it was a bit because Appa and I share a hatred of philosophy and reading and academics. So he's just saying, fuck your show. I just want to hear Judas talk shit about drywall as a thing. It's just, I don't actually have 3 hours of drywall stories. I have one drywall story because I'm not a drywall guy.
Sean here reminds me of Frederick List delineating between merchant power and industrial power. And that's a book that we covered quite a while ago. We covered 2 books back to back. One was, what was it? The Theory of Political Economy by Frederick List. And then right after that, it was Free Trade Doesn't Work by, I want to say, Ian Fletcher. Both made essentially the same arguments about the importance of scalable industry. Frederick List was written, I think, around 1920, maybe, whereas Ian Fletcher's was written, much later. I think in the post 2000. I'm pretty sure. So it's interesting how I was making the exact same financial argument across time, but with basically what Frederick List was predicting having come to pass and what we do from there. The biggest takeaway from those books, I always think about this. There's a lot of great information in there, but it was One with Ian Fletcher was free trade doesn't work. You'll hear this from third worldists too, that we talk about the global marketplace or global trade. Global trade technically only involves a handful of nations, Western nations, and then their vassal states that feed into global trade, but it's really only driven by a few countries in Europe and then Japan and kind of China, but not really. But yeah, let's just say China too. But then the rest are just feeding into that. And it was saying that how does a nation, accumulate enough sovereignty to get into that stratosphere? And it was using the example of the UK, and it was saying that what you need is scalable industries, and this is why America and countries that know what they're talking about are so obsessed with developing new technologies because they are a multiplier of capital. And I'm not going to take us into modern monetary theory, but the idea in short is that, if you have agricultural land, there's a low ceiling on how much yield you can get from that, how much profit you can extract, because you're limited by just what the land can produce. And it's also pretty erratic. However, with manufacturing, with automation, the idea was you could actually develop technologies that get things done faster and more efficiently. So if you pour money into it, more money comes out, and it doesn't necessarily have to maximize the space. You can extract more capital from a smaller, topography. And that's gone even more and more accelerated with information technology. So that's why these countries are so interested in that. But there are nations that have not grasped that they think, we're going to pin our hopes on real estate and agriculture and natural resources. And natural resources are a gamble because sure, you could find the biggest deposit of X mineral, hopefully, but if you don't, then you don't control that. So the idea of sovereignty is that you can control it. You have mastery over it, and you're not just a slave to the nature of it all. So what they were saying was what's interesting in the case of England and a lot of these other countries was that they embraced free trade for a bit, and then they closed off their borders. They instituted tariffs and economic protectionism until they could generate their own sort of manufacturing base in their country. Then they opened it up to free trade later on when they could actually compete. But if you are a nation that wants to engage and interface with the free trade marketplace and you have not taken the steps to really generate your own manufacturing base, then you're just a slave to it. And other cases of this, Japan and Richard Werner's Princes of the Yen is the most detailed example, in my opinion, of how a post-war country that wasn't in Europe. Because you can find European examples, but let's say you don't. Let's say you want to just see how this process works elsewhere. Japan was a great example of doing that and rising very, very quickly to enter into that global marketplace. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No. I agree.
Oh, salmon fish. He will do a stream. Okay. Perfect. Oh, Jim Bob went 4 hours with salmon fish recently. I got to hear this. Anyway, so those were the three examples actually of how this works on a global scale. And we covered Princes of the Yen fairly recently. Those other two books, you have to go back into the archives. We do have clips of those. If you check out our YouTube channel, let me just pull that up on the screen. Everything should be there. Blood Salad. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Blood Salad. Check us out on YouTube. It's going to have all of those videos. We got our shorts, got our live on there too, all our previous streams. Scroll down and you will find there's this one. That's the Japanese shadow war economy. That's one where we get into more detail there. So scroll down and you'll find it. Anyway, I guess we can probably end soonish because I had one more video to maybe get to, but I don't have enough time for it, unfortunately. We might save that for the next one, the next live stream.
Oh, jeez.
Because I want to do it right. It's 40 minutes long, and it's. I'll just preview it here. Let's see. It's going to be this. It was the Fifth Estate, little mini documentary inside the interrogation room. The men who armed themselves at the convoy protests. This is the Couch trial that people have been talking about. The Diagolon was involved, all this stuff. They produced this highly amusing, little film here. You know what? Let's just watch a bit of it.
What's Fifth State? It's CBC, right? Like this is
Yeah.
state. It's so funny because like it's state
Comments are turned
propaganda,
off.
100% funded by the federal government about a case where they were trying to arrest enemies of the federal government. Like, does anybody believe this shit? It's unreal.
Let's just watch a bit of it.
Yeah. Let's
just take
have
a
look. Let's have a laugh.
I had a lot of fun watching this.
The following program contains coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Like they think it's still television.
On this edition of The Fifth Estate, we return to the pandemic, a time of mandates, lockdowns, and chaos in the streets across Canada.
I hope every border in Canada is blocked. There's no excuses. This is war.
But in the background, a movement was taking shape, prepared to confront the government with violence.
Cool.
Dangerous criminal activity was real and organized.
A high-risk undercover operation. Allegations of a plot to murder police officers.
They had in their crosshairs agents of the state.
Okay, you're going to see that guy a lot. What we just saw was an African lesbian pulled from the jungle primeval, glasses so far down his nose that they are just ornamental at that point.
Yeah.
That's not even for reading. That is a costume pair of glasses. Look at this guy. Look at this side of beef. This guy. This guy. I'd want to have him on my side. You try to make these guys not look cool by having a guy with no sleeves and like arms the size of fucking thighs in here, being interrogated. Look, he could look at the guy who's interrogating him. He could rip that guy's head right off.
Yeah. We would encourage him to do so.
Video never before broadcast shows police trying to crack a group fueled by conspiracies.
Like I told you, man, there was no plan for nothing.
What happens when people come out from behind their screens and act? The danger is that
that was edited really weird. Like, what makes it leave screens and act? Like they cut him off.
Yeah.
I haven't watched this halfway through. I've never seen a presenter edited so viciously to like cut him off. He's a guy named D'Souza, an Indian man who's presenting, and you can tell by the language that they're using that they really had nothing to go off of here. He said, what happens when people go offline and act in real life? Because there was no assassination, there was no violence of any sort. They found some guys who had legal firearms and no real plan to do anything. That's why they were let off. That's why this was such a blemish on the Canadian judiciary, but they're still trying to make a documentary. You will see in this documentary later on that they're like, well, you know what? If they had tried them with a different jury with the evidence that we presented in this, maybe they would have decided differently, which is such a funny thing to say because that just makes the legal system seem frivolous, like a gamble, right? You know, this jury acquitted them, but maybe if we put them in front of another jury, they wouldn't have. Okay, so this doesn't mean anything then.
Yeah.
There's no facts, there's no logic. It's sentimental. You fucking frauds.
One person in 100 will commit an act that might be awful.
I'm Stephen D'Souza. This is The Fifth Estate.
D'Souza, huh?
There's no way that that's the best guy to present.
Yeah.
Like this is a 50-year-old show.
So, February 14th, 2022.
So did you speak to a lawyer?
Correct.
These men are about to face off against the very force.
Can I just say this guy here? Okay, so for those listening, we're looking at a man who is the guiltiest man I've ever seen in my life.
I'll give him a break.
I know. I haven't been in this situation, right? I don't know how I would act. I'd be a jitterbug, right?
Yeah.
But this is a guy, if I can describe him, has his hoodie pulled up and is like warming his hands like he's a hobo by the fire and he's rocking back and forth. If I were an inquisitor, I would say, well, this man's obviously guilty of something. Even if it's not this. Like, we're going to find something for this guy. I got nothing but sympathy for him. But really, you can't be in here. Don't like get in the interrogation room and then put on your shades like you're the biggest asshole at the poker table.
They're accused of plotting to murder. At a time when the country was on edge, the RCMP feared a small group was armed and about to spark a shootout with police.
There's two sides to this, right? And one light, right? That you're an extremist, and there's another people that saying you're a hero standing up for your principles, right? So
You know, you see these feds in films interrogating suspects, and they walk in with this suave charm, and they psychoanalyze, and they craft their personality around you. When you see feds in real life, it's just such amateur hour. Like, look at this fucking pudgy nothing here. It's like, yeah,
feds.
look, buddy, I'm your friend. You know, maybe I think you're a hero. Maybe I think I don't think you are, but you know, I want to get you out of here. You know, maybe why don't you tell me what your friends are up to there? Like, just not even trying, just like reading from the notes, reading the speech in front of the class.
Well, my job here is just to find out what the truth is.
The Fifth Estate has been investigating the story for almost 3 years.
Have you?
For most of that time, key evidence could not be published to protect the men's right to a fair trial. That left a void filled by rumors and misinformation. Now that the trial is over, we can finally take you inside the police investigation and inside the world of the accused.
Actually, we don't need this because we know how the trial shook out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Now the trial's over, we'll give you the real story. No, we have the real we have it.
Yeah.
You're late.
That's the point of the trial.
As the point of the trial, is that, are you saying that there was lies? Is that what you're accusing them of? No.
Yeah.
Then what the fuck? What they're going to do is make you hate these guys and think that, well, we didn't get them for this, but we should get them for something later. Look at this dead-eyed ghoul in front of you. Look at this NPC faced, just does not deserve to be in front of a camera, does not deserve to own a camera.
Early 2022, downtown Ottawa under siege, a face-off over vaccine mandates.
This might have been the last time I was happy. This was great. Remember this? Remember when like a really cool thing happened and everyone like, yeah, you know.
I'm staying. I'm not leaving until the mandates are gone.
Anger spread across Canada. Blockades multiplied. But the RCMP conducted its most serious operation here, on the border with Montana, in the small village of Coutts, Alberta.
I hope every border in Canada is blocked. I hope the country shuts down.
Some protesters were openly hostile towards the government, police, and mainstream media.
You guys start telling the truth?
You guys have helped destroy this country?
You're the enemy.
Get out of here.
Can I just say something? I'm seeing a lot of white people here. I'm seeing a few Aboriginals even. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No Indians, no blacks. Like I made the claim that I'm like, I think this was mostly a white movement, a Euro-Canadian movement, right? Just based on based on what I saw.
The outcome of the trucker protest is part of the reason the whole industry is Indian now, because they did actually take these guys' trucks and companies away. You know, that was one of the outcomes that was never widely reported. But a lot of these guys lost their livelihoods, lost their companies and everything, and it was all sold off for a nickel, and now the Indians own it. So,
can I say this? Got Sid here, literally talked about nothing for an hour until he got into anything.
Go back to the Super Bowl, you fucking faggot.
Where do you think you are?
Why are you here? Wrong show.
This is a show called Blood Salad. Hey, we clown around here. Take your ass back to what are you watching? What are you watching? I don't want to name a show because it'll sound like I'm starting a fight. Okay.
The Hallmark Christmas channel.
Why don't you take yourself back to the Gay Sex Network?
Protesters effectively shut down Alberta's most important port of entry to pressure the authorities to withdraw COVID safety measures. Among those drawn to the protest, Marco Van Hugenbos.
It was just a feeling of hope that finally there was a part of society.
Look at him. He put on his least threatening sweater. I liked him before when he was like laughing in the street with the bloodlust in his eye. That was a guy I'd like to get to know.
That has said, this is enough.
How had you been feeling during the pandemic leading up to these protests?
Frustration with the COVID mandates, restrictions, the inconsistencies by health authorities and governments.
Where are my brothers? He's right beside you.
Van Hugenbos was a town councillor in nearby Fort Macleod. He quickly became a leader and the face of the Coutts blockade.
This is the big protest. It's a big rally here. I love it. But keeping it peaceful and making sure that nobody steps out of line is our responsibility and my biggest concern.
Protesters would gather at a roadside restaurant.
So it's kind of our little headquarters. The Smuggler's Saloon is called. Fits the name's perfect there.
I wonder if the protest was altogether hurt by so much behind the scenes information being broadcast on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. You see what I'm saying? Like just having the protest and having, but then being like, hey, here's where we're meeting. Here's maybe that helped it spread, right? Or maybe it just actually gave too much information.
I don't know.
What do you
I think as long as if it genuinely was not violent and there was no plot, and I don't think there was, then it's probably in their interest to make it 100% open and transparent. Because then when everybody who was there and involved sees how badly it's spun in the media, it's a huge win for the protesters. So
also, are we far enough away from this, just speaking for ourselves, not speaking for the Coots subjects or Diagolon or any of the people involved in this? Is it safe for you and I to say that I could have used a bit of violence?
I've been there for the whole time. I would have been fantastic if it was way more extreme than it was. I understand why it was what it was, but and look, if I wasn't in the country at the time, if I had been there, I probably would have joined, and I probably would not have been violent, because I mean, I don't want to be the one guy going to prison. But it would have been nice if we had more than just the mandates dropped. We'll get there one day.
Yeah, I think people are generally not anti-violence.
No.
It's important that you have to.
We have to all talk around it. But I mean, yeah.
I think it would have been cool. Anyway,
a little bit of resistance
get myself
to evil by
trouble.
force is nice.
There. This is Tony Olenek. He drove from Claire's home about 2 hours away, where he ran a gravel pit and trucking company. He filmed regular updates from the protest.
Well, she's 5 a.m. start here. The little convoy is getting organized.
It's just guys being
It's gonna be a
dudes.
great, marvelous day.
In the early days, it was very, I won't say chaotic because that sounds like there's a riot going on, but it was very disorganized. And it doesn't impact on the airport.
Coots Mayor Jim Willett and his council were not prepared for their village to be overrun.
It's like herding cats because you get them in a group and you make what you think is a decision and then go out the door and it all goes sideways.
Days into the block.
What a good way to say nothing at all, by the way. It's like, I'm not saying it was chaotic, but I'm saying it was disorganized. Okay. Which is like, it would seem disorganized if it was a bunch of trucks parked at odd angles.
Yeah.
But like, you can tell he wants to say that, they were really roughing up the locals there. No, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So far, it's not a fucking
They
story.
did
You've got
everything they can to prosecute anybody who like sneezed, and there was nothing.
every one of the guys profiled sounds pretty cool. It's like, yeah, he owned a gravel pit, and he's a father of two.
Go figure, eh? They're all white, middle-aged dads with small businesses. I wonder why that pattern. It can't be a pattern. I mean, that's got to be totally random.
Blockade, police went to smugglers to give protesters an ultimatum: open the highway or be arrested.
We're giving you choices. In
the crowd recording the confrontation, Tony Olenek.
Just trying to intimidate and pressure and coerce a bunch of freedom-loving truckers and people that are here. It's mind-blowing.
I don't know. My wife calls it a spidey sense. Like you sense that something is not right.
The RCMP also sent something.
What are you talking
My
about?
wife calls it a spidey. Yeah, fucking Jesus Christ.
I had a sixth sense that something was right. What are you saying? Why are you talking about your wife? Why is your wife weighing in on this at all?
Why is your wife relating it back to Marvel?
Put her in the fucking commode. You chain that fucking bitch up and you talk to me, Mr. Mayor. What are you talking about? You got trembly? I don't want to fucking hear it. I see a bunch of guys being dudes and the fist of the state trying to come down on him.
Wasn't right. Kelly Sundberg took a look at the police investigation for the Fifth Estate. He's a criminologist at Mount Royal University and walked us through how police identified the four men.
By the way, every single lonely woman is also a criminologist now, so that doesn't impress me.
Yeah.
Oh, you study crime?
This guy's
Guess
a very
what?
lonely woman.
All my niggas study crime. That's all we do.
I think that they realized that through their existing network of information and intelligence that this was gathering momentum and very quickly, and that it could get out of control. Moving the undercover officers in there was a prudent step.
After a week of trucks blocking the highway.
I wanted to get the woman's perspective on like when you see that type of entity, what do you think? Like, would you have like do women have sex with that? Do women like?
No.
I haven't. I think women have a sixth sense that they like to see that type of guy flattened.
Do they have a spidey sense?
Yeah, they got, the woman's intuition is they want to see that type of guy cut to ribbons. Look, you got a comment here. You don't even have one chud who's a trucker because he dreams of piloting a killdozer. Good point. No killdozers there at all.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mark against Canadian truckers, isn't it?
The highway was never closed, says Angelo Pappas.
I believe it.
I believe that too.
I had heard
Richard
that too,
said-
that like they had left a lane open for emergencies or whatever else. But I mean, the point is that they wanted them to not be there.
Yeah, Richard said it never escalated to mostly peaceful. Like you're dealing with guys who are like, oh, we're going to shut down, but people got to get to Tim's. Like we're not savages here.
Way, the RCMP sent undercover officers to infiltrate Smuggler's Saloon to understand what the protest leaders were planning.
So this is not a simple operation. These are very tight.
I like that they sent in a spook there, and everyone's glaring at him immediately.
Yeah.
Hey, who's this new guy who's walking with his one peck out? You know, like walking in a robotic fashion.
Communities for 5 outsiders to just show up. So these are highly skilled officers that were clearly very effective in their duties.
We obtained court records where the agents describe, in their own words, what happened next. A protester calls Tony Olenek a leader, so the undercover officers arrange to meet him. Olenek tells them he sees the blockade as a revolution.
These officers not only had to play the role that they did.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's it? There's no... Because I think if he had plans to assassinate a politician or actually conduct a revolution, you would included that.
But then they had to go and create the reports to activate the next phase.
Olenek says he's been surveilling the police's movements and considers himself protest security, along with Chris Lysak from nearby Lethbridge. Olenek describes Lysak as a hitman, a sharpshooter, and a long-range sniper.
I won't leave until shit changes, written in stone. My kids aren't going to grow up in this shit.
The undercover...
Also, is that just like he served in the military? Like those could just be statements of fact.
He's a sharpshooter. Yeah. I mean, that's not a crime. It's not a crime to be good at shooting.
I think the only people who get called sharpshooters anymore are actually military snipers. It's not like a thing you just call a guy.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that's saying that, oh man, that guy's a trained killer. I'm like, well, like technically he was trained to kill by you motherfuckers.
Cover officers also report back that Olenek boasted of stockpiles of guns and thousands of rounds of ammunition.
Again, not a
enough to
crime.
outfit-
This is.
Yeah.
He owns a lot of guns. Like, yeah, so do I. We all own a lot of guns.
Nice rising tension music they put in there. Like, honestly, put some Linkin Park behind that. Put some Limp Bizkit. Put Endless Slaughter behind that. It's a different vibe. Really, stockpiling guns. To the audience that they're playing to, that is supposed to sound outside the norm. And they actually accuse him of that later on in the documentary. It's like, oh, you got a bunch of rifles. Yeah, fuck you.
You know what? Though?
I'm allowed to have a bunch of rifles.
We've mentioned this before. I think the audience of CBC is low information, urban liberal voters. And there are people out there, Canadians, real living Canadians, who when they hear about Canadians with guns, they're like, is that legal? They can't have guns. You can't do that. You can't have thousands of rounds of ammo. Like they don't know. They don't even know what our gun laws are. So
also, what would a pile of rifles be? 4 or 5 rifles? If you're serious about shooting, you're gonna have 4 fucking rifles.
More than one, I would say, is a stockpile. You know what I mean? What is a stockpile even? It's just for later, saving it for later.
Like even for us, it's like, okay, you got like a varmint rifle and you've got something, more high impact. Like if you're like, okay, I'm going to go hunt deer.
And you've
I'm going
got
to
a
have
shotgun. You maybe have two or three different gauges of shotgun for different things. Like it's not hard and it's not expensive either. Like any people who have guns, nobody has one gun. Come on.
People who treat guns like they're trying to be Neo from the Matrix end up getting one gun. People who are actually serious about guns and treat them like tools Do you just have one tool? Do you just have a fucking hammer? If you find a guy with just one hammer, watch out for that guy.
Yeah.
If you got a guy with a
Yeah.
garage filled with tools, that is a high trust man. So
You know
like
how
a
many
guy with like
katanas I
5
have?
rifles. Yeah. You find a guy with like one rifle or shotgun. Okay, maybe. If you have 20, then this guy is someone you want to invite over for dinner and bring your rifles and seat one on each chair because they're all eating spaghetti tonight.
Every protester and smugglers to fight if they needed to, and that he believes cops should all be hung.
I mean, that's just true, though.
That's just
Cops should all be hung.
a lot of sensible statements said one right after the other.
That's not a threat. That's just like we're talking about. Is it? This is an is-ought thing.
Yeah. Well, also, is he saying I will hang the police officers? No. 9. He's just saying they should be. Like, what if you
Yeah.
woke up one day and they
In
were?
an ideal world.
Hey, if God hanged all the cops, would you argue with God? I bet you wouldn't.
Yeah. What are you gonna do
know?
then?
I guess you don't hate hanged cops that much, do you? You're going to go to hell for it? I bet you won't. I bet you won't. I bet you go make yourself a fucking macchiato.
This launched the investigation from simply a intelligence, what's happening position to, oh my God, this could unfold into a firefight. This could unfold into extreme violence.
Keep in mind, the worst they've said the entire time was that, okay, if the cops start shooting at us, we'll shoot back. Like, that's what you do when you prepare things. Like, I'm going to prepare in case the government decides it wants to kill me and my family. Like, it's a defensive measure.
Yeah.
And I understand the audience sees that as inviting or deserving of oppression, but I don't think regular people do. I don't think men do.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just fucking fags and women that this is supposed to work on.
It's also no. I don't think it's unreasonable to say. Never mind if they're cops. If somebody is shooting at you, like to kill you, I don't think it matters who it is. I think, like, I would risk prison to not die. You know what I mean? Somebody's trying to kill me. Like, why is that a bizarre thing to say? Like, oh, if they're gonna, yeah, but if we shot at you, you're gonna shoot us back. Yes. What?
Yeah.
What?
Do your Canadian duty and be shot.
Yeah, you're
Angelo Papa says at trial they originally focused on the Mennonites at the saloon, then shifted focus on Tony, etc. Once they learned these men had firearms licenses, and they get to that in the documentary that all these guys had legal weapons, like nothing. Yet there's a restricted firearm, but he had a restricted firearm license. I think the worst thing they had to say was one of the guys had a round in the chamber.
Yeah.
Ooh. So I know, again, that's supposed to work on the fucking queers that watch this. But
Meanwhile, the agents continue to gain Olenik's trust. He introduces them to another protester, Chris Carbert, also from Lethbridge and Lysak's childhood friend.
There's no excuses. This is war.
Olenik and Carbert take the agents to meet a fourth man, Jerry Morin. Olenik had met Carbert and Morin a few months earlier. Police had arrested Morin at an anti-mask rally back in 2020. The agents, Carbert and Olenik, then drove to the train tracks to meet Jerry, who was coming with the package. Olenik tells the officers it's coming in a hockey bag.
Nice.
And reportedly nods when they ask if he's talking about guns. RCMP handlers told the agents to leave for their own safety.
As soon as those officers heard that, and you can see that from the court documents, they very quickly realized that imminent danger existed.
So they just ran? Do we just have the gayest feds?
This is so stupid.
That's so they, first of all, what you're admitting there, let me watch a bit further.
The Fifth Estate obtained heavily redacted, handwritten police reports. An agent on the ground said they suspected a cache of firearms and warned the protest had become a...
So they didn't even prove that that's what happened.
Yep.
My God.
Yep.
I know that the music is supposed to bewitch you, but realize what they just admitted to was that the RCMP agents pussied out. And so they actually don't know if there was a hockey bag full of guns showing up at all. They just feared there was. And I would love to read the report of like how they absconded from that situation. What an embarrassment.
I kept hearing that they ultimately did grab the truck and there were guns in it. But I heard some of the guns were traced back to the RCMP. There's all kinds of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, we'd have to watch the whole thing, and who knows how much of this is even fucking true again, because it's CBC. It's created by the people that prosecuted them.
And remember, what they said about this documentary was a lot of these weren't included in court, right? So they think this report right here, they think that would have turned the tide.
I wonder why it wasn't included. Do you think it was for lack of trying or because it was fucking inadmissible?
Hey, D'Souza, do you think that you might be a brown fucking retard? Hey, Fifth Estate, do you think you might just be a fucking joke that's trying to smear these guys who were acquitted, or not acquitted, but they did time served of like 3 years, which is egregious and terrible, obviously. But it's like, if only they got tried again and they saw this information, the jury, I'm like, no, this makes the government look so much worse. It makes them look like they were just inept. And then that's the one thing the government can't appear to be. It's inept, even though they are. Right. But if it looks like they're inept cowards, then this whole thing is dismissed with prejudice. That to regular people, look, you can be oppressive, but if you're oppressive and cowardly,
yeah,
yuckers.
Breeding ground for extremists. The next day, an officer reports on a conversation with an unnamed source. Concern can get violent. Civil war, and see government removed.
They had to act quickly because the more unknown elements makes it more dangerous, more unpredictable what the outcome will be.
Fearing the worst,
Yeah, also keep in mind that all of these people who are clutching their pearls at this would also love to see Trump removed and see a civil war in America. You know what I mean? Like, no one's buying that anymore. This was released recently. I got a secret in for all you aging libs. Everybody wants a civil war. That's the only reason we watch the news anymore. We're excited to watch our enemies be punished, and then maybe we're kind of used to people shooting now.
Yeah.
We're used to the president being shot a lot, We're used to Justin Trudeau getting called a faggot when he runs.
Constantly harassed. Yeah.
Constantly harassed. It's shocking that he hasn't been shoved. You know what I mean? I'm not encouraging it, but I'm like, it's
crazy. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah. People get. I mean, that's like the thing with the truckers. It's like they're there, and then there was no real crime. And the number of people that go out of their way to find Trudeau to say something mean to him, but nobody's ever thrown a punch. It's like, damn, Canadians are so polite.
I'm frankly astonished that there wasn't more violence for that amount of people.
They had to really gin this up. Yeah.
Look, we know that there wasn't one coherent leader because there's several people who tried to be leaders in this whole thing, and then they were chewed up and spat right out. So it's just this wonderful emergent thing, and it's miraculous. And maybe it's not. It's just it speaks to the character of the people who were there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not violent people. They're not psychos like us. Who'll be like, let's dress like scarecrows, and let's get hyper realistic guns and cover ourselves with guns. But they all just do the bang flag,
Mm-hmm.
and we still get arrested. So we get arrested for a joke. And now we're just arrested scarecrows. Ha ha! They weren't doing any of that shit. They were just, what I mean? So I don't know. For them to try and dredge up like fantasies of violence, it's sickening, and it's driving me to want to see violence. Like I want to see the Fifth Estate. I'm going to stop talking.
RCMP took an urgent and extraordinary step. How significant is it that police get an imminent harm wiretap?
This is authority used when there's a kidnapping or when there's a terrorist plot. Like, this is very, very rarely used.
The RCMP started with...
And again, I think he's trying to make that sound like the fact that was used makes this sound serious, but it does not. It makes it sound like government overreach, right? They don't understand how this is coming across.
To the men's calls, they overheard Olenek refer to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as a terrorist. Then...
Okay. Look, maybe when you were writing that sounded bad. Everyone hates that motherfucker now.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's terrorist is the nicest thing they're calling Trudeau currently.
In another call saying, we're gonna go to war at some point.
Well, this is an update happening here Sunday night. We're all surrounded.
With a flood of intelligence from undercover officers and wiretaps, 2 weeks into the protest, heavily armed tactical units move in.
What are you guys doing? Why do you guys have guns? We don't have guns. Trudeau's goons. Put them away. We don't have guns. Put those away. Put them away, sir.
Chris Lysak was live streaming outside Smuggler's Saloon.
Yeah, fair points. Like there's a bunch of guys, you show up with your fucking SWAT teams like, wow, but what the fuck you doing? Put your fucking guns away there, bud.
Yeah. And there were actually kids and families and shit there too. Like it's
Yeah.
it's
Damn, I wonder why this wasn't included in court.
Yeah.
I wonder. Yeah, D'Souza, you should show this next time, you fucking ape. EL makes a point. Justin isn't a terrorist. He's a gay guy that likes men.
Police allege he threatened an officer.
Just imagine this. Imagine a Fifth Estate done on us. They called Trudeau a terrorist and a gay man who likes men.
Dude, we'd have like 30 subscribers.
And just like imagine transcribing one of these episodes and having it on screen like this with the fucking highlighter effect in Premiere. They said that, quote, every woman in America should have a nuclear device in her vagina. They said that the Constitution was, quote, slop, and that slop goes, quote, up your butthole. And then there's just images of like us looking serious in court. And then they interview us and we start talking. Like, yeah, I stand by what I said there. It's slop for your anus. We could speak gay guys who like men are terrorists. You know, I stand by that too.
Fact.
Show that
Yeah,
in the
man.
fucking Fifth Estate.
Yep.
All right, we gotta get going soon. I wasn't gonna go. Maybe we'll go through the rest of this next time. Classic live streams, getting like a third of the way through the video and not finishing it. But I just wanted to just have some fun with that. Tee it up for next time. Maybe we'll do a couple other things on that. But you know, I think everyone is on the same page that this is just a smear job. This is pathetic, really.
For sure.
It makes me like these guys more. I never really seen much of them on video before, but yeah, like small business owners, family men, reasonable guys who just like having guns, which you're not allowed to have, or that is supposed to cause suspicion. And that to me is the most offensive part of all this. All right. So, and any closing thoughts before we head out?
No, that's all.
Went all around the world this one.
We did. It was good.
Bank of London.
We did cooking for the first hour instead of kids and movie, which is good. I like that. I also like Sex Freakman IUWMD, interuterine weapons of mass destruction. It's good.
We got the best chat. Okay, so anyway, thank you so much for taking the time. This was just an impromptu stream. I hope everyone had fun. I had a great time with this.